Welcome to the Spotlight Series. I'm your host, Scott Nerney. We're live from the Queeset Inn. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and like this video. There is a lot of great information for yourself, a family member, a friend, or someone you just may run into. It's really important to get this information out. We have Michael and Vito back. Talk to us a little bit more about fentanyl and its impact on not only the country, but Rhode Islanders here at home. Gentlemen, welcome back. I really wish that we'd never see each other again, but I'm really glad that we do. And give us a little update since the last time we were here about what's been happening.
Well, I think the first thing I want to say is anyone that has a loved one or a niece or a nephew that has a history of drug abuse, you need to get up to speed on this whole new drug crisis, national drug crisis, ASAP, because your niece or your nephew or your son or your daughter or your grandson's life may depend on it. Okay, and you need to completely understand about how addicting fentanyl is, and it's in just about every illicit drug on the street, and it's in a vast majority of medication that's ordered online from non-licensed pharmacists. Okay, and that saves lives. Public awareness saves lives, and that is the goal of our foundation: is public awareness based on the science. And the science is mainly from DEA and other national credible laboratories. Our website is we've come a long way since the last time we met. We've updated our website with some very, very good information, and I'd like to talk about 4 or 5 things on our website, and we'll turn it back over to Mike. Mike, you want to say something? Yeah.
It just comes down to the basics. That if we bring it down to the basics, the fact that we follow the science, we follow the math, and we push the old 1982 saying that a little girl in school asked the first lady, when boys and girls come up to me and ask me, do I want dope, what should I say? And Nancy turned around and started a movement, not knowing that day, by just saying, just say no. That's what we need to continue. And we need to implement it and realize this fentanyl is a major crisis, and it's never going to take one person to actually beat it. When you think a loved one actually has this addiction, the family and the community need to help and push that person to go into NA, that person to understand the addiction, and that person to help get off the addiction. Without that help, they're only one high away from death. Every time they use, they might never come home again. And that is a realistic statement, and why we need to bring everything back to the basics and back to saying, just say no, and helping our fellow neighbors and our fellow friends and our children to get off this terrible roller coaster of death. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
And I think the federal government and the state governments, they have more than their hands full. It's not as people think. There's a drug dealer who's doing something small and he's only affecting a tiny piece of a little neighborhood. It's not that way anymore. It really, the old saying, follow the money. If it's imported from multiple different countries, the guys at the border do a phenomenal job. You see some of the times where it's a semi-tractor trailer truck full of drugs, or they're packed in different parts of the car they're coming in, or in customs at an airport. They're doing phenomenal work, and even the state and local police, to stop a lot of this. But it's just a drop of what comes in, unfortunately, because there is such a good money game in it for dealers, and to put it into, whether it's, as you mentioned, there's 2 options really, is illegal drugs or medications ordered online, which sometimes it's because you can't get it, because it's cheaper, because you want it, and you don't have a prescription, or it just sounds good, not available in the country. There's reasons for all those controls. And it's just a really good, easy way to take advantage of someone by not only caring for what they want or think they need, but also now you can put a drug in there that's going to make them think this is 10 times better.
And not only that, but DEA with the One Pill Can Kill program also created a media program showing the threat of dealers now not sitting on the street corner, not sitting in the ghetto. They're in every child's pocket on their phone. They're one click away with Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, all these programs. They give you a little mojo of signs of how to get drugs, how to get, what's that, ADHD pills. And when their parents don't give them the pills, or their doctors don't, and they think they can pass tests, these little designs that they got are gateways to buy it online, and then they mail it to them. The United States Postal Service actually implemented a couple of programs that actually sent somehow the production of fentanyl in these packages that they're mailing. That's where we are today, and they can't catch them all because some of them are sealed so well that there's no way that you can figure out if it's fentanyl. That means little kids, 8 years old, 2 eighth graders. Someone in their class ordered the medicine for ADHD pills. These 2 kids, they called them Pinky, I think, the meds that they took. 1 pill, they both died. It's kind of a shame that an 8th grader in a rich area, these aren't poor areas. This isn't the ghetto. These kids were in a place in Utah that were all rich people. So you can't say that this is a ghetto thing. This is a bad area thing. This is online. This is in your backyard. This is in your house. Every time they get on social media, and parenting without watching over their social media is like them letting your children play with your guns. I think even worse sometimes.
Do you think the world, or at least the United States, is finally maybe coming around to see drugs from a different light? If I think back, the movies, 70s and 80s, maybe even 90s, where like you had Scarface or other movies that were big time and talked a lot about drugs, and drugs were cool, and they got a cocaine business or something like that. As much as that was out there, there were also movies about cops trying to stop it, or TV shows. But it used to be like the fun, cool thing to see on the screen. But now I don't see it as much. So is that an influence where the country's trying to turn the corner and say, we need to pay attention?
With 275 deaths a day in America from fentanyl, and everybody that I've talked to knows somebody in some way, some shape, some form of who died. When you bring it to your house, when you bring it to death, when you have a son that passes away, to me, it's not fun. It's not that cool thing. It's Nick that died. It's John that died. It's Mary that died. It's Alice that died. When you know the people's names and you can go down the whole list, what's fun about it? I don't like when my family gets hurt. I don't like when my friends get hurt. And eventually, if that's what you're feeling, there's no movie in this world that will make you happy and think it's a cool thing to go with.
I just want to say that, let me give you some very grim statistics on fentanyl right now. If you get hooked on fentanyl and you turn to street drugs or medication online to get your fentanyl, you have less than a 3% chance of living 1 to 5 years, unless you check yourself into a treatment center. And currently, only between 5 and 10% of people hooked on fentanyl get treatment. So, and a lot of that has to do with the stigma of people don't want to be known as a drug addict, okay, or the stigma of being hooked on something, okay, and a lot of these people have gotten hooked on fentanyl unknowingly, okay, and some of them don't even know they're hooked on it. Okay, they just have to keep taking these pills over and over and over again, and then eventually they try to self-medicate themselves, and eventually they end up overdosing and die. Okay, and every time you get a pill in, there's no set amount of fentanyl in it, and your body develops a tolerance to it, and you keep taking more and more, and eventually you stop breathing, your heart stops, and you die. Okay, so it's a grim reality that we have. This is a terrible. This is the worst drug crisis this country has ever seen, and it's not going to come to an end anytime soon, unless we take a hardcore stance on it, and we have public awareness. Now my foundation is getting these DEA one pill can kill signs into many companies. These three signs right here. Um, this sign says 6 out of 10 pills that have fentanyl are deadly. We focus on three signs. Um, Actually, it's not even 6 anymore, it's 7. Okay, and then we have this sign right here, and we have these in the 11 by 17, and we also have them in a little larger for yard signs. And then this says one pill can kill. Okay, then this was on your last show where it shows a penny and that much fentanyl will kill you. Okay, and some of the hard hit areas of Rhode Island that we go into, we go in and people say, I can't believe it. Somebody's finally doing something about this, and they're so happy to put these signs up. They can't believe it. We go in, we talk to the managers of the store. I lost 10, 15 friends from this. I lost I lost I lost my godson. I lost my niece. I lost my nephew. I lost a friend in college. And it just goes on. And it's death is everywhere, and everybody. I have found a very high percentage of the companies that want to put these in and want to make a difference, and they're willing to donate. Okay, so we are having some tremendous success getting with this public media campaign. Okay, so I think I think it's time to talk about the fentanyl test strips, or
Sure.
the whole harm reduction umbrella that has been created in this country. Go
So
ahead.
yeah, so let's talk about the harm reduction. I think it kind of falls in line with, and I'll paraphrase what I think the government's opinion is. Well, it's here; it's going to happen anyway. So let's try to make the best we can of it. Which, in a nutshell, is, it's kind of like saying we're going to put a safer car. People are going to speed anyway, but this is someone's life with drugs. So one of the things that Rhode Island has adopted, along with 45 other states, is a test kit where they can crush or break a pill up and test to see if it has fentanyl in it, which, as we know, most of these pills that are in the fentanyl world always do. How much it has, we don't know. The test strip doesn't tell you how much is in it or if this will kill you. Is this a good idea, or is this is it a step at least to get the awareness out?
I don't know if it's a government or if it's a society, and it really doesn't matter. Whoever sits there and says that harm reduction is best to be attacked by minimizing your damage is taking a cowardly way out of it. I think the reality is the only way to go at this is to try to help the ones that are addicted to get off it, and try to keep our kids that are not on it at all to stay away from it. Is basically comes back to the basics of just say no, go back to the basics of NA and AA, and go back to the basics of putting people into treatment and help them weed off the addictions. If we want a tomorrow for our friends, our neighbors, our children, then we need to address it that way. Now, I'll let
Okay. Once again, our website is based on DEA science and national that science from national accredited laboratories. Okay, we don't make any of this up. Okay, I'm not a senior chemist at DEA. Okay, so let me go over fentanyl test strips. Okay, what the manufacturers of these test strips want people to do is to follow a procedure. Is that if this I went and bought 2 chocolate chip cookies this morning. Okay, and I had to have a little of them. Okay, but um and and what they are is there's chocolate chips scattered throughout the cookie. Okay, and let's hypothetically say that those chocolate chips are fentanyl. Okay, so when you take a little, first of all, they want you to put the chocolate chip cookie in the bag and grind it up, and that's your entire pill. Now, I don't know if too many people would buy a $10 pill, a $20 pill. I don't know what these pills cost. I would imagine they're not cheap, and grind it all up. Okay, and then they want you to take a portion of this, because and with a specific amount of sterile water, and put it in a cup, and then take this fentanyl test strip and steer it around. And this is very similar to a pregnancy test or urine a test for drugs. And you look at it, and it tells you, the color markings tell you whether it's positive for fentanyl or not. Okay. Now, the dangers in doing this are if you don't test, if you only take a little piece of this cookie, okay, that's ground up, okay, or let's say you only grind up a little piece of the cookie, okay, and you put it in this container with fluid, a specific amount of water, fentanyl or xylazine, they have xylazine test strips too, could be in another portion of this pill or cookie, okay, and it will kill you. 2 milligrams will kill you. And I just want to remind everybody that that 2 milligrams is, this is a penny, and that's how much will kill you. And this is a pill. This is an average pill, and that small amount in a pill will kill you. Is lethal. So,
And if somebody buys 10 pills,
they would
and
have
they
to grind
test
up every pill.
2 or 3 and they don't see anything, the rest aren't safe.
And 7 out of 10 pills have it. So that means you could have tested the pills that don't have it and then hit a lucky star.
Now,
And you're not going to live to tell about it.
now the other problem, Scott, is when you grind up a pill, you create a powder, okay? And the powder is more dangerous. Something in a powder form or a liquid form. I used to be a respiratory therapist, so I know what it takes to breathe something in, and you grind it up and you pour it in the bag. As soon as you open this bag, if there's enough fentanyl in this bag, you could pass out and die. Okay, so you're dealing. Anytime you buy something off the street, it's a calculated risk whether you're going to live or you're going to die. Okay, when you use a fentanyl test strip, whether you put it in your mouth, put it in your body, whatever. And like Mike said earlier, the safest. I don't know if we haven't seen any science on this whole harm reduction campaign. Okay, but we know the science is there that you're more likely to live by not monkeying around with this than playing around with fentanyl test strips. Okay, it's a very dangerous game. Now, DEA's DEA scientists, when they handle illicit street pills, and I believe you're going to put up a picture of me and with a mask on, etc. They have gloves on, they have a mask, they have they have eyeglasses, they have a protective suit. Okay, and this is in a laboratory where they have negative ventilation, where the air. There's no way if they grind up a pill, there's no way that powder will accidentally go out of the hood, because there's air being flowed into the hood and out through, and I'm sure it goes through filters, so they don't contaminate the neighborhood. Okay, so we've seen, as a matter of fact, the video was on the last blue wave at the end about how dangerous it is. Okay, so we don't believe the science is nobody should be chopping up pills or handling something as deadly as illicit street medication or medication from a non-licensed pharmacy. Okay, you shouldn't use it at all. The safest way is to not use it at all. Okay, is to take it, put it in a bag, and dispose of it properly. Okay, or whatever the procedure is. Okay, DEA has certain days has these campaigns to take medication in. Okay, so and a lot of states have campaigns to take medication in, and this is not this is Russian roulette. No matter how you look at it. Okay, like you say, if you buy 5 pills, 10 pills, I don't know if anybody's just going to test every single pill because that's what's required. And even when you're going through the testing procedure, you could pass out and die. Okay, you're creating a vapor. Okay,
It is good to see that, we keep seeing DEA, the Drug Enforcement, they're really trying to be more of a drug awareness, which is very refreshing to see. We still want them to arrest bad guys, stop the drugs, everything that they can find, but taking their science and their skill set and lending that to try to bring it to people to let them know, hey, this is bad, and here's what you need to try to avoid. It's refreshing to see that different tone
right.
and trying to make a positive out of all this negativity.
And they promote the Narcan with education on their website. They don't really promote the test strips. And the truth is if you sit there and look at the videos that we have on our website, you have cops going into the cars, and like I had told you earlier, New York is actually finding out more people are smoking fentanyl because you can change its contents, and so therefore when you're smoking it, cops are walking into or putting their heads into the car to look for whatever they're thinking that's going on. They get a whiff of the fentanyl, they come back 3 steps, they drop and they die. Another police officer gives a Narcan. You still have to go to the hospital. Just because you took a Narcan and came alive doesn't mean that you're out of the woods. Sometimes it comes back many hours, and usually does come back many hours. You need to go to a hospital and have medical treatment. Those kind of trainings, I don't see the medical field with this harm reduction actually teaching as well as they should. They just hand it out. I've gotten it handed to me a couple of different times. Never once did they say this is how it works. Never once did they say this is how it's stored. Never once did they say you have to go to the hospital after it. And if that's told to, not told, should I say, to the common person, you're putting a lot of people at extreme risk of death. And I don't get why. It's easier to say, let's help you get off this stuff than it is to sit there and say there's a safer way to do it. There's no safe way to do drugs. Never was, never will be. And if you really love the person, you're going to help them get off it, not help them to do it again.
You're going to get them into a treatment center, okay, because that's where they belong, okay, and you need to get this stigma right out of your head, okay, because this could happen to anybody, okay. And the other thing is these test strips, there's fentanyl analogs, okay, and these test strips don't pick up the fentanyl analogs, okay, and the analogs will kill you just as fast as regular fentanyl, okay. I have seen, I saw the toxicology report from my son, okay, and and I had to turn it over to a doctor for her to read it, okay. It was extremely complicated, and there's a whole bunch of analogs, okay, that they test for, all right. And again, harm reduction is not using illicit street drugs with fentanyl test strips, Narcan, and having a buddy next to you to call 911 if you pass out. Okay, my son passed out and he fell back in the chair and split his head open. Okay, and laid there and died. Okay, so anytime somebody passes out, you run the risk of dying. Okay, you could be anywhere. You could fall down and get killed. Okay, so just because you have a buddy with you for this harm reduction, just because you have just because you use fentanyl test strips, just because you have Narcan with you, okay, it's still not safe. There's nothing safe about it, and people should not. The safest way is to say no. Is to not do it at all. Okay, not take anything off the street and put it in your body. Okay, once you do that, okay, you run the risk of of, of it being deadly. Okay.
Yeah, especially when you smoke. So if you and I were to go into a room and you're gonna sit there and hold the knock and say I'm not doing the drugs, and I smoke my knock kit, secondhand the smoke will kill you. So therefore, when I die and you die, where was your backup? You just got rid of it in 10 seconds. It's just,
Yeah.
like you said, that buddy partner doesn't work with this drug. Not what it can go airborne, not what it can be given in multiple different ways. There's just no way to do it. And therefore, you go back to the basics. Just say no at the beginning, help them get off it with a treatment program, but don't promote harm reduction.
So, guys, there's signs on the website where they can print off some of the awareness campaigns. Give them the website one more time.
It's one pill can kill ri.com. Okay, and again, we just want to emphasize that we don't believe in harm reduction. We don't believe in safer drug use. We feel as though we stay with the science. The science is that there's no safe way to use illicit street drugs or medication from a non-licensed pharmacy. Okay, put it in a plastic bag and dispose of it properly. Okay, you shouldn't even touch it with your hands. Okay, you have no idea. You don't know what chemicals are in it. You don't know how much of the chemicals are in it. There could be methamphetamines. It could be fentanyl analogs, which is not going to pick up. It could be xylazine. It could be anything. Okay, these pills are made in a illegal laboratory. Okay, it's not even a laboratory. It's some type of garage or who knows. Okay, so there is no safe way to use illicit street medication. Regardless, this is DEA's philosophy, and we stand behind the science. Okay, so is there anything else you want to cover?
Oh, I think we're good. I mean, people, get the awareness out there. Again, follow what these guys are saying. If you know someone that's involved in this, try to work with your local folks and try to get them some help. Talk to them about this, whether it's illegal drugs that they're purchasing, foreign pharmacies, or just something they get off the street, whether it's some form of painkillers or mind altering, whatever it might be. It can be from anything, because that little bit of drug that's hidden in there that you may or may not be able to test for is really what's going to do it to you.
Right. Yeah. This is DEA's program. This is their philosophy. One pill can kill. Okay. Not two, not three. Okay. And in many cases, a half a pill can kill you. Or if you get the right portion of the pill that has the deadly fentanyl in it, it will kill you. Okay. The best way was the 1980s philosophy, which is Nancy Reagan. Just say no. Okay, and get these people into treatment. And again, there's a very small percentage of people that are addicted to fentanyl that actually get into treatment, and that's because of the stigma, because of many reasons. Okay, so families need to know that if you have a loved one or a niece or a nephew that you think is addicted, there are hotlines you can call, and there are and immediately pull these people out of society and get them into a treatment center. Okay, because if they don't get into treatment, we know what the end result is: death. Okay,
Sure.
Only less than 3% survive. Okay, they end up, and this is why we have this terrible tragedy in our country. Okay,
All right.
all
Thank
right,
you very much, guys.
okay.